As far as I can tell, it is as blatant a goal as you will ever see.
If we don't get to the final, people will be livid. So make a massive event. I would make a huge event of it.
The last time Aston Villa had won a fourth round FA Cup tie, Barack Obama was the President of the United States, Uptown Funk was number one in the music charts, and Paul Lambert was the Aston Villa manager.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another in-person edition of the Second City podcast. I'm Daniel Sketchley.
And I'm Callum and Dan.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to do this in person again at my house. Unfortunately the studio's being used today, but we're here in my dining room.
Yeah.
So it makes quite a nice makeshift studio. With all the kids and everything, it looks quite nice I think. But yeah, we're able to do it in person again because you were down in Birmingham last night for the Villa Spurs game in the FA Cup.
Yes, well I had an FA Cup double header this weekend.
You did, yes.
So,
you went up to Goodison Park.
Goodison Park on Saturday for the first and probably the only time.
Almost certainly the only time.
And then Villa Park last night as well. So
Yeah.
I haven't quite shifted my cough from last week, but I don't think 2 football matches in 2 days has particularly helped that.
No, especially in the cold. Yeah, we had a very FA Cup heavy weekend because obviously you had those and then I went to the Blues Newcastle game on Saturday night, which was a great night. I said on this pod before, Magic of the Cup is dead.
Yeah.
This weekend may have changed my mind. It was a really good FA Cup weekend. So we're going to get into all that, talk about your doubleheader, the Newcastle game, a couple other little things. So yeah, let's get into it.
Well, we'll start with what we're wearing.
Yeah,
I haven't forgotten this week.
No, it's my turn this week to forget instead.
Yes.
We will start where we always do, with what we're wearing, obviously. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
I feel like you guessed mine first last week, so
I did,
shall we
yeah.
guess yours
Yes, of
this
course.
week? And this one seems more tricky than it should be,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So we've got a blue Umbro, some very faint sort of diagonal lines coming through it.
Yeah.
Fish and chip investments on the front.
Yes.
A few nice like white flicks in certain places. Is there a patch on the sleeve?
No, not on this one.
It's just the pattern.
If you need a small clue, I have worn this one before, but I didn't wear it. I didn't wear it. I had my one on it. This is someone else's, which does fit me. So I thought it was quite nice to get one on that I can actually wear.
I know roughly the time period of the Umbro and then the sponsor is around that sort of 07 to like 09 kind of era.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like 07 was the Penguin kit, so maybe we'll... Or is this the cup winning kit? No, you had X-Tep for the cup winning kit.
We did.
So, yeah, so maybe we'll go for like an 07 and 08 or an 08, 09, something like that.
What's your answer? It's one of the two.
It is. I think it's 08, 09.
You're right, it is 08, 09, and 07, 08 was the Penguin kit as well, which I'm trying to track down and get on, because I love that kit, and I never had it as a kid.
Yeah, you got the away kit, though.
And I have got the away, and I did manage to get this Penguin one for my birthday last year, which I love as well. So that's the away kit from this season.
Yeah.
So 2 beautiful kits, actually, really strong year for kits. And it's a strong year on the pitch as well, because we got promoted this year from the Championship. This was Alex McLeish's full year at Blues, his first full year at Blues, I should say. And we brought in players like Kevin Phillips, Lee Carsley after relegation, Marcus Bent, and who did a job for the team, to be fair. It wasn't too bad, actually. And actually rebuilt the squad in a way. And yeah, a great season where we finished second and we got promoted on the last day away at Reading, which I actually went to. I think it was only my second away game I'd ever been to. And it was like second versus third. It was basically winner goes up. So that's like one of my favourite games ever, basically. It was amazing. And some of the great memories throughout the season, we beat Wolves 2-0 at home, who ran away with the league that year. It was a very like pragmatic year though, in a lot of ways. Like I think I was, how old was I at the time? I was about 11 when this season was going on. So my memories of it are really good. I remember going to like, a lot of wins. Our home record was great. McLeish was always very win your home games, draw your away games. Yeah. But I think you ask people maybe a bit older, maybe who were like our age now at the time, they're a bit more... Their memories of it seem a bit more like it was actually very boring and it was very
McLeish
like...
Ball wasn't famed for its
no.
Foot to the floor excitement.
No, I think it was something like we got promoted in second place, but we never won a game by more than 2 goals, I don't think. And I'd have to double check, but I'm 99% sure on this. So we had Lee Clark on the pod recently.
Yeah.
And we talked about his season where we stayed up on the last day at Bolton. We scored more goals that year, where we finished 21st, or 21st. We scored more goals that year than we did this year, where we finished second. Yeah. That was McLeish Ball, but the defence was so good. Like it was very solid, build from the back.
Yeah.
But I have some great memories of it. Like I say, because the Reading game we won 2-1, and we actually could have gone up the week before at home. I think against I think it was Preston, if we'd won, and it was a live on Sky game, and we went 1-0 up with Keith Fahey, who we also signed this year. But then, do you remember Ross Wallace?
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, I think he played for Burnley as well, and he scored like 2 absolute worldies in the last couple of minutes, and it was this like, oh my god, we've blown it. But then to come back the following week said a lot about the team. So yeah, 08-09 home, a lot of fun memories for me. So yeah.
Nice.
And you?
I don't remember this season very well.
No.
And I am also cheating and wearing one that I have worn before, but we're going back a long time.
Exactly, we've got a lot of new listeners since we started doing some of these. So it's a Diodora, it's kind of a silvery gunmetal grey kind of kit.
Nice NTL sponsorship on the front.
It's the old badge, what I would consider like the old badge, with prepared underneath and the stripes. Bit of a few black lines near the shoulders, big collar on it. At first, when you started wearing it, I thought it was a goalkeeper kit, but now I think it's probably an away kit. And if you don't remember it, I'm gonna say 2000, 2001 away is going to be my guess.
You're really close.
Oh.
It's actually 0102 away. So, I'm surprised you don't remember, Dan, because this was the year we won the Intertoto Cup.
Oh, wow.
So, in what was a pretty kind of meh and kind of average season, 8th in the Premier League, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, we got knocked out in the 3rd round of the FA Cup and the 4th round of the League Cup. So, and even though we won the Intertoto Cup, we were knocked out in the 1st round of the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
So this was the year that John Gregory left the club, and then Graham Taylor came in. And in terms of like notable players, it's the year Peter Schmeichel signed, the year we signed Olaf Melberg and Peter Crouch.
Wow.
So
Villa legend.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't really talk too much about the season because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But I think if this kit gets away with being retro now,
Yeah, sure.
and you go, oh wow, look at that, that's old.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I think if you bought this out next year,
Yes.
you'd go, what the hell is that?
They could maybe get away with like a modern remake of sorts.
Yeah,
But it
maybe
would
a bit
have to
like-
be in reference to it. It'd have to be they'd have to do all this on the shoulders and stuff to make it obvious.
Yeah, and the
you know.
crazy collar
Yeah,
and
yeah.
central badge, and a bit like when they did when Kappa tried to do that remake of the green and black Muller kit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that kit anyway, and so I didn't like the remake. But at least from the remake, you could be like, oh, okay, they're trying to reference this crazy kit we had in the 90s.
Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, it's retro. So it's
retro.
cool.
Yeah, it's very on the turn of the 90s
Yeah.
to the noughties. It's very of its time.
You don't see very many like silvery grey kits.
No, but it's also mad. Like, so this kit, and this is maybe a perspective for us as kind of time changes your age and so on. So this kit is only about 7 years newer.
Yeah.
7 years newer than that. But that's mad. They look like completely different
Yeah.
generations completely, which I think is quite interesting.
Even down to like the furry 3D
felty
effect,
kind of, yeah.
felty sponsor, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Very good. So that was 0102 home.
Away,
Obviously, away. Away, yes, of course. Cool. Shall we get into the games
the
itself?
games. Do you want to briefly touch on the EFL Trophy?
Oh, yes, I will. And I will also say, before we talk about any games, my Labrador is asleep on the floor.
Yeah.
So if you can hear him sleep, if you can hear him breathing quite loudly, that's all it is. It's not us.
Yeah.
Little dude having a nap on the floor. Bless him. So, yes, let's talk about EFL Trophy. Blues played Stevenage on Tuesday night. Quarter-final. Thank you to Liam who gave me his Now TV login so I could watch it, which was not a great game by any means. I'm guessing you didn't bother watching it.
No, I did not.
No,
I did keep an eye on the score because we'd recorded last week's pod about an hour or two before, and so I was waiting for the result of the game so I could write the title for YouTube.
Right. Yes, that's true.
And so I was like, Blues crash out of the EFL Trophy, or in the case it was, Blues are in the semi-finals of the
yes, we are. So
EFL Trophy.
that's the big thing. Through to the semi-finals, beat Stevenage away. Poor game, but we won 1-0, a late Stansfield goal. It was very similar to, if you missed the game but you watched the Crawley game just before Christmas in the league, it was exactly like that. In terms of format, and then Stansfield comes on and scores a late winner, or something like that anyway. Yeah, it was such a boring game. Even at the Newcastle game, I was talking to someone about it, and I said, like, oh, did you watch the... and I genuinely just couldn't remember the name. Which is unlike me. I'm normally really good. It was that forgettable. But we won, and we are through to the semi-finals, and we've got a home draw against Bradford.
Bradford in the semi-finals. I've seen this story before.
You have, yes. 2013?
I can't remember.
League Cup semi-final. Didn't go so well for you that day.
No.
But they're mid-table in League Two. On paper, we could not have got an easier draw. It's going to be at home, night game. Let's... again, I say this every single week. Everyone says, it's only the EFL Trophy. You've got to be on paper with the best team in it anyway. If we don't get to the final, people will be livid. Yeah. So make a massive event. I would make a huge event of it. Sell it out. Get everyone in. Recreate.
It's your first semi-final of any...
Since the playoff semi-final.
I don't want to say major competition, but it is. If you're a typical League 1 or League 2 club, it is a major competition.
And let's treat it like it. Don't be snobby about it. And so I think the other teams in it, amongst them are Bolton and Wrexham. Yeah. If we have one of them in the final, it's gonna be that'll be big. Something at Wembley. And I think you were saying so after our game the other day, we ended up meeting in town.
Yes.
When you and Will got back, and we were chatting, and you were saying that the biggest ever gate at Wembley.
Yes, is the EFL Trophy from. It was the year Sunderland and Portsmouth.
2018 or something like that.
Yeah, be around that.
Yeah,
late,
sure. Yeah.
That sort of era, but yeah, it was
Portsmouth and Sunderland.
Portsmouth Sunderland EFL Trophy. So.
Yeah. So let's take it seriously.
But that's partly because the amount of corporate tickets is significantly reduced for the EFL Trophy, which is why an FA Cup final or the Champions League final doesn't have a huge gate, because the actual the amount of tickets available to fans is actually quite small.
Yeah, sure.
So whereas for the EFL Trophy, for some reason, corporates don't want to go. No, we saw last year as well for Wycombe Peterborough pretty much the entirety of the upper tier bar, small section for Peterborough, was closed anyway.
Mm. Sorry, dog's snoring very loud on the floor. Sorry, and also it'd be interesting to see if it is Wrexham. I bet there would be more corporate interest, I must say, which I obviously am not mad on. But so we're through. Looking forward to the semi-final. Dates haven't been announced yet. But let's make a big event of it. We saw, and we'll get onto it, we saw at the Newcastle game what we can do on a big night game now in terms of atmosphere and so on. So let's go for it again, Yeah. Exciting times. So not a great game, but means to an end. Looking forward to the next round. We're through. And I've got one eye, April 13th. Yeah. Make sure I get that weekend off work.
Yeah.
Because I might be going on the old train to Wembley, hopefully. So.
Yeah, on the green.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, hopefully it's not as windy as it was last year when we went.
Oh, it was windy.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah. So that was the semi-final.
And don't go to TGI's either.
Was it Frankie and Benny's?
Frankie and Benny's.
No, I like Frankie and Benny's, but it was they sat us outside. Yeah. And your view, I just remember their view.
I looked at a brick wall. It
was literally a brick wall. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different story. Do you want to talk about your away day then before we get on to Blues?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So I will talk very briefly because I'm sure there's loads of Everton and Bournemouth fans tuning in today. But if you haven't been to Goodison Park, do try and go if you can.
So that was why you went?
That is why I went. So, I think like you, I've got a list of stadiums that I've been to all over the world. I've never done Goodison Park. And obviously with it being knocked down, I was hoping to maybe... When Villa were going to play them this year, I was like, play them on Saturday 3:00, get a ticket in the home end and just go to Goodison Park. And as it happens, we played them in midweek January, and so I didn't go and couldn't go. And we were just talking the other week, and we were like, I should do Goodison. Right, Dad. It's like we were talking the other week, like really need to do it because I think it's one of those that if I didn't go, I would really regret it come the end of the year. And so, as it happens, I was looking at some games we could maybe go to, and I was like, who have they got in the third round of the FA Cup? And it just lined up perfectly. Villa were on the Sunday, they're on the Saturday. I was like, we'll get a ticket for that, for Bournemouth versus Everton. And then I thought, I wonder if we can get a ticket in the away end.
Yeah.
And as it happens... Bournemouth away tickets are relatively easy to buy.
Yes, shock.
They were on general sale. Their game against Brighton, which is kind of a local derby of some description, in a couple of weeks was on general sale. I could have gone to that if I wanted to. Nice. £35. So a bit expensive for an away ticket, but I got to go to Goodison Park, and what a place it is. Yeah. And we had our part of the stadium. We had the wooden seats. It's a proper stadium. The main tier where the stand with the dugouts on, My God, that is high.
Yeah, I think...
And it's really steep.
Yeah, and obviously, like, when you watch it... Because I went to Goodison with Blues in, like, probably 2009-ish. It was, like, around Christmas.
Yeah.
And we drew 1-1. And you were showing me photos of where you were. And it was basically where you were. Yeah. And, like, on TV, you don't... It's 3 tiers, isn't it?
Yeah,
so you don't get that. And it's almost like...
That top tier, though, is, like...
But it's almost like the bottom tier is like the smallest as well. Like, so it's almost just doesn't look stable almost.
It's a really weird stadium and a really weird stand. Just in terms of like it was obviously they built it and it was a certain size, and then as they tried to up the capacity, it's like they've just lobbed extra bits on, and it's kind of weird. But even in the away end, like it's like the players are taking a throw in or they're down for the corner, and it's like even though you may be like 10 rows back, it's like they're right in front of you. It's unbelievable.
Proper stadium.
You know, we got to hear the Goodison boo as well, which was great. So I feel like I've had a full Goodison experience.
And you won 2-0.
And the
so you had some limbs, did you?
Limbs. We're stretching the word limbs, maybe.
Okay. But it's cool. You got to go to the last ever FA Cup game at Goodison Park.
That is kind of cool. Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. And you met a strange man. You were telling me.
Yeah, we had a bit of a interesting Bournemouth fan next to us, but
story from
it's been a while since I've seen someone like probably dancing along to football chants from both sides. It was great.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad you had a good day anyway, and we all got to meet for a beer afterwards as well.
And
so that was nice. Lined up quite nicely because I'd gone to Blues the same day, which is the reason I didn't come because Blues were playing the same night. So shall we move on to Blues and then we'll talk about Villa?
Yeah. I think it's an absolute disgrace though, Dan, that Tom Brady opted to go to the Super Bowl rather than to Blues Newcastle in the 4th round of the FA Cup this week.
Did Tom Brady leave early like Donald Trump did from the Super Bowl as well? I don't know if you saw that. He left early. He just couldn't be bothered to stay till the end. To be fair, if there was any game he would have loved at Blues, it would have been the game on Saturday. And you saw some of the game as well on the coach, I think you were saying.
Yeah, on the train. I was trying to get it up on BBC iPlayer and it was dropping in and out. And I couldn't believe it. I had my phone up and it was maybe like 10 minutes into the game and you were already a goal up. I was like, what the hell's going on? Yeah,
it was... So we played Newcastle in the FA Cup 4th round. We haven't played Newcastle for about 8 years. I think it was in the Championship.
Would have been, yeah.
I didn't realise this, so we haven't beaten them, since we beat them in the FA Cup in 2007, and we beat them 5-1 away. I remember watching it on like BBC One as well, that game, in the replay. And I was like, man, that's like, it's not far off 20 years ago. I was like, blind. And I know we haven't played them most years, but I was like, man, that's a long time ago. But yeah, we played Newcastle in the 4th round. Obviously, they're like a top 6 team, European level.
I mean,
team.
They're in the hunt for Champions League again, aren't they?
Really? Yeah, they got through to the League Cup final on Wednesday, beating Arsenal quite comfortably across the 2 legs. So we're big underdogs, but I think I said this about the Wrexham game the other week. Even though we were up against it, backs to the wall, I almost got more out of it knowing that when it got a real test, we really showed something about us. And I've said a lot this season about like, it's all great and we're enjoying it, but like, I almost can't relate to it that much. It's just so coasting through every game, just like steamrolling everyone. Like, I think I'd said kind of Chris Davies is doing a great job, but it's like, I feel like I don't really know him that well yet. But these couple of games have really shown us what we are the real deal. And so even though we ended up losing 3-2, it was as good a night as I've had at St Andrews in years. And it was as good an atmosphere as I've... The only ones really that have been better have been like, you're talking like the West Ham semi-final from years ago, or the Villa quarter-final.
Don't remember it.
This season, the only game that could remotely compare was the Wrexham game, and I think this took it to another level. It was just it belonged on like the Saturday night, on a rainy, horrible Saturday night. It was, Newcastle they must have bought like 6,000. They had the whole of the Lower Gilmerick. It was great. The fact that we went toe to toe with them for the whole game, and I genuinely thought for like 70 minutes we were the better team. It says a lot about us. I thought we were great. We scored after a minute. 40 seconds. We went 1-0 up, and it was the whole I know some people think it's really cringy. It's not for them, but I love all the pre-match stuff. I think it's great. All the fireworks were going off on the roof. That the flamethrowers coming out.
I have a lot of time for that. I think it's great.
People think it's all like Americanized, and it is, but it's something they do well. So like, why not embrace it? Make a big show of it. Especially now the game was live on BBC One. Make a big deal of it. And the fact it was such a cold, horrible night, it made it all like it was really hostile. It was old school, proper.
It felt like a hostile night at St Andrews.
Yeah,
under the lights.
Oh,
the floodlights. They've improved over the years, but they're still not great.
No. Being there, it looked pretty great, I must say. And we talked. Did we talk about it? No, it wouldn't have been announced the last time we did an episode. But they had JK, the rapper, doing like a pre-match show, and he's not really my cup of tea, but it did exactly what it needed to. It got everyone up for it and excited, and it was something different. So I actually thought it worked really well. So everyone was hyped. It was really exciting. The keeper on before kickoff was as good as I've ever heard it. And then we go 1-0 up after 40 seconds, and it was it's carnage, absolute bedlam. Like I have not seen limbs like that for some time. And then obviously Newcastle got back into the game. Yeah. First goal for them. I mean,
as far as I can tell, it is as blatant a goal as you will ever see.
Cool. So for any rational person listening, that's obviously not the case. Whether it did go over or not,
we'll actually never know.
We'll never know, and there's no goal line technology in this game. Strange, because do we have it in League One anyway? Maybe we do.
Not that I've done a lot of digging into this because there's no VAR.
Yeah.
Full stop. But
I
believe at the clubs that have goal line technology installed, it was available. So I think we had it last night.
Sure.
And I think it's only the Premier League and the Championship.
Yeah,
basically, if you hadn't got relegated last year, we would know.
That's very true. But my point being, the linesman made the call.
Yeah.
When he was completely unqualified to do so, he wasn't in line.
I'm pretty sure Cochrane's in his way, isn't it? Yeah.
Peacock Farrell, who I was surprised played, because Allsop has kind of defined himself as the number one this year. He was stood behind the line, to be fair, so I'm not sure why, but I actually think he did well to keep the ball. I don't think it went over, I think he kept it out.
But I wonder if because he was well behind the line, whether that's influenced the linesman's decision.
Because where we were behind the goal at the back, and from where I was, to be fair, not the perfect view for it, but I thought it had gone in, so when the goal was given, I was like, well, but watching it back, I don't think it was at all. And then Newcastle score again, 2-1. A few questions maybe of offside for that one as well, but I think we were kind of victims of our own. That Clara's who had a great game otherwise, he was calling for the handball for the offside. Sorry, when if he'd reacted quicker instead of doing that, he might have stopped the goal. But anyway, Callum Wilson scored. We ended up losing 3-2 with a late goal, but let's go and talk about...
The headlines are all about one thing from this game, aren't
yes, I mentioned the limbs for the first goal were mental. The Iwata goal to make it 2-2 after about 40 minutes. So I think Dowell crosses it in, Laird heads it back. Or no, Laird goes to head it in the box, but ball comes bouncing back out instead outside the box to Iwata. Who on the half volley just...
Spanks it.
It was as good... we have not been blessed with great goals at St Andrews or at Blues over the years. The last few weeks we've had Lyndon Dykes against Lincoln, Keshi against Huddersfield. This one might be my favourite. It's just
pick your goal of the season.
This one is my favourite. I think it's just an unreal strike, and I think it was the moment as well. It was crazy for the first one. I think the second one was even more. So it was ridiculous, and just the celebrations were great. It was an unbelievable goal, and
I even got some exciting commentary out of Martin Tyler as well, which was something.
So I saw. But I appreciate it as well because I've watched it back so many times, and Guy Mowbray was commentating on the BBC. And he's my favourite commentator. It's something like the way when the ball falls to Iwata, everyone shouts shoot, and it's before everyone stopped doing that, he's shot. Yeah. You hear it hit the back of the net. Guy Mowbray goes mental. It's like a perfect 10 seconds, So we lost, but we were very unlucky. I thought we played brilliantly. 2 great goals, 2 great moments to kind of savour, and I set it up with the Wrexham game as well. Proved to me that we're the real deal, and it proved to me that Chris Davies has really got these lot believing in him, and they were fighting for each other, and we were playing a much better team. And I said this all of last season, we had no fight about us, no nastiness. Playing a team that's much better than us, you got to be a horrible bastard to an extent.
I mean, Lyndon Dykes came on and just kicked the crap out of people for 20 minutes.
But that was clearly his job, if you know what I mean. There's one where, I can't remember who it was going on the left wing, but Clara, he makes no attempt to play the ball.
It's Jacob Murphy. He's just come off the bench, isn't he? And he just clatters him.
Batters him. And I'm it was, you mentioned the Super Bowl, it was something you'd see in that second half. And I'm not saying be dirty, but let them know you're in a game with them. Yeah. They're much better than us. If we go out there and try and match them toe for toe, they're gonna beat us. So,
I mean, I said to you in the pub as well with the new style of play and the new manager, this sort of game suits you because Newcastle came to play football.
Yeah.
They didn't come going, oh my God, we're playing one of the best teams in our league at the moment. Let's just get a point and run.
Yeah.
Put 11 men behind the ball. They actually came to play football, and that suits you when you want to get the ball on the deck and knock it around a bit.
100%. So no, it was, despite the loss, and I think we lost it on when we had to eventually, because they just ran themselves ragged. We had to sub off like Stansfield and Anderson and so on, and then players were bringing on the good players, but like I think we maybe lacked a lot of pace.
Yeah.
And Newcastle were bringing on players. They brought Isak on with like a few seconds to go. That's like the level. They didn't even need to bring him on. That's like they're bringing on players that might be even better than the players that started the game. So that's where they didn't even look tired at the end, really.
Yeah.
But no, I was really pleased, and they're kind of fighting for each other. When one of their teammates was in trouble, they all backed each other up. I thought Kieran Dowell was excellent. I thought he had a brilliant game. So no, really, really pleased. Mark Leonard obviously picked up a nasty injury. There was 12 minutes of stoppage time, most of it because he had to be stretchered off. So we hope he's okay and hope to see him back soon because he's had a good season and been unlucky not to play more. Quick stat as well, shout out to my cousin Luke who has now he shared a random stat with me the other day. So our 2 FA Cup goals this year against Lincoln and Newcastle, the first goal in each game, and now our 2 fastest FA Cup goals ever. And Luke's now he has got the stat for the 5 fastest goals we've ever scored in the FA Cup, I think it is.
Yeah.
And he'd been to all 5. He was there for all 5 of them, which I think is pretty cool. So whenever we're next in the cup, he needs to be there.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee of an early goal. So yeah, great night, very proud. And so our new interim CEO's replaced Gary Cook, Jeremy Dale. Said before the game, I think he said it to The Athletic, that Saturday night was going to be a sign of things to come. And it was going to be a glimpse into what the future is going to be at Blues. And if that's a glimpse of the future, then sign me up because it was really special. So yeah, a great night. So yeah,
cool.
And we're out. But anyway,
yeah. Well,
cool.
I've still, I'm a bit unwell, but that's because I've got FA Cup fever.
Here we go. So moving on.
We're up for the cup.
So you had Spurs in the FA Cup.
We did have Spurs, and so I have a brilliant stat here from the last time Aston Villa had won a 4th round FA Cup tie. Barack Obama was the president of the United States.
Okay.
Uptown Funk was number 1 in the music charts. And Paul Lambert was the Aston Villa manager.
Blimey.
So this would have been 2015,
Gee.
the last year that we got to the final of the FA Cup.
Still in school or college or whatever.
Yeah, we would have been finishing. I'd have been finishing 6th form.
Yeah,
so.
I've been sitting in college. Gosh.
It's mad. But yeah, we are through to the next round of the FA Cup. I can't believe it. I'm getting altitude sickness being this far into the. We're in the round of 16 of the FA Cup, the round of 16 of the Champions League. Life is good.
Oh, that's good. So for you, sadly.
And I met the love of my life last night, Dan, at the Villa Park.
I mean, you've made this joke to me already.
I met the love of my life, Marco Asensio. What a player!
Oh God.
Get the contract out. Let him sign whatever he wants. I've seen enough.
Yeah, fair. So did he come on as a sub?
He did, yeah. So we'll go through the game properly. So a bit like you, we scored after like a minute, where Jacob RAMSEY scored with a helping hand from the Tottenham goalkeeper.
This new guy that signed for
Kinski, yeah. Basically, the shot straight at him and he just chucks it into his own net.
Yeah.
And
sorry, my dog's walking past, really nervous. He's going to knock the camera. It's all right. We're all good this time. Yeah.
But yeah, we went a goal up really early. There was a lot of Spurs fans there. The upper part of the North Stand and the traditional away end as well. They were very heavy with the anti-Daniel Levy chants most of the night. And we kind of controlled the game. We had a lot of chances in the first half. Marlon had a couple of chances. Jacob RAMSEY across the game, he genuinely could have had 5 goals. He had so many chances. One of them he should have squared for Asensio to have a tap in, and I think if that had happened, the place would have gone absolutely nuts. Yeah. But there was, Son had a good chance just before half time where the flag should have gone up because Mikey Moore's about 2 yards offside, but it doesn't go up. In the process of all that, Ezri Konsa seems to have pulled his hamstring, so we have no fit centre backs to bring on because Axel Disasi is cup tied. And obviously, we've got 3 home games in a row, all in the league: Ipswich, Liverpool, and then Chelsea. So we could be playing Chelsea at Villa Park in a couple of weeks with no centre backs because Disasi can't play against his parent club.
Blimey.
So
some nice forward planning there from.
So we still have a centre back crisis that's getting even worse.
Yeah. Okay.
So there is that. But yeah, at half time things were good, but maybe felt like we needed another goal. And in terms of, we could have put the game to bed at half time. The chances that we had, Kinski, despite chucking one in the net, had a good game. He's probably Tottenham's best player, which is saying something when he threw one in the net after a minute. Yeah. So, in the second half, we managed to get the second goal. A bit scrappy. Leon Bailey gets the ball pretty much in the 6-yard box, and we're all going, just shoot, just have a shot. And he's kind of like, just stops and doesn't know what to do and just knocks it to Daniel Marlon, who then has a shot. It's cleared off the line, probably a handball in there, and Morgan Rogers just knocks it into the back of the net. Yeah. And just as the ball went into the back of the net, 2 players were about to come off the bench, Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio. And that was really something. I mean, I remember when Coutinho joined and he came off the bench against Man United on debut and he scored, and it was like, I'm trying to think back and thinking, oh my God, what a player that we've signed. And there probably was a buzz at the time. I don't know if there's quite a buzz like the two of them. They were brilliant when they came on.
I think as well though, like the Coutinho thing, it's easy to say with hindsight, but let's be honest about it. Gerrard signed him because he was his mate.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is like this. I know there's Asensio. I don't know if he has any connection to Emery of some kind. I don't know.
I think he managed him at PSG.
But even so, I think it's annoying for me, but I think this seems like a much more professional decision where he thinks he could get something out of these players. But,
yeah, and the Coutinho one, there are, I think with Rashford and Coutinho, there's a lot of similarities in the two deals and maybe where the players are at and why they've come to Villa. But yeah, they both looked really up for it.
How long did they get with him? About half an hour or something?
Yeah, they're about half an hour. And I mean, essentially, the first thing he did was pick the ball up and do a roulette. The next minute, he's doing back heels, and there was a point where so he picks the ball up, brings it down, doesn't know where he's going to go, and he just back heels it to Morgan Rogers, and he then gets the ball back and lays it back on a plate for Rogers. And the way we would look, Spurs are in a bad place at the moment. They've got a lot of injuries. I mean, so do we, and so do a lot of other clubs. But they're threadbare, and we brought these two players on, and it was like watching Real Madrid. We were just cutting them apart. Essentially, used to play for Real Madrid.
I suppose.
I'm really excited for what they can bring. We had chances to maybe get a third, couldn't quite get it. Obviously, we threw the clean sheet away in the last seconds of the game to make stoppage time way more nervy than it needed to be because it was freezing and we wanted to go home. And because it was a stupidly late kickoff as well. It's like
on a Sunday.
A Sunday night, yes.
I was so glad we were the Saturday night game. It just was great. It was perfect.
Yeah, I mean the atmosphere was great for and like I said for the West Ham game as well. Like the limbs with the 2 goals. And, when there was a point around the 75th minute mark when we had Asensio and Rashford on the pitch where we were just knocking it about and we were like allaying every ball. We were just really, it was. I came out the ground and I said it's probably one of the most fun matches I've been to.
Yeah,
like there's a real buzz coming out of it. But obviously we'd have been really annoyed if we'd have lost to Spurs. But say like the Champions League games, they're great, but they're bloody stressful.
Yeah, sure.
As whereas this was just really
enjoyable.
Really enjoyable. It was kind of funny the way that we were like taking the mick out of the Spurs fans and just knocking the ball around. You'd have thought we were maybe 5-0 up at the time, not 2, which is why we had that really like nervy all of a sudden just end the game.
But I suppose of all the big teams, the one you'd least expect to get back into it, Spurs. They're just so passive a lot of the time, and I think Ange will be. I mean, we're recording this on Monday morning. Ange is like, I don't know how he's. I never like to see anyone lose their job, but I don't know how he's still
no, and I thought his. I saw a 4-minute clip from his presser yesterday, and I'm not Ange Postecoglou's biggest fan at all. I find him a bit two-faced, and but you know what? He could have thrown those players under the bus, and he was there defending the players.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I mean, Archie Gray, I think is a good player. I don't think he's a defender, let alone a centre back or a full back. But he's played every minute across. Like the guy's owed some. He's done so much overtime.
Sure.
Bearing in mind he was probably brought in to be someone that they could slowly bed into the team, and he's playing every week. So, but we're in the hat.
Yeah,
and the draw is tonight.
Yeah, who are you hoping for? Anyone in particular? Because a lot of Liverpool and Arsenal both out as well.
Yeah, obviously Liverpool out, Arsenal out. Who, Man City, Man United just about still in it.
Yeah.
Spurs are out. Chelsea are out.
Yeah,
so
opening up pretty nicely.
I think at the very least you'll see some teams in the semi-finals this year having
a bit of a shock at least.
So I mean, I guess there was one semi-final of the year which was like Wolves and Watford.
Yes, yeah.
So
something like that'd be nice again, wouldn't it? Like I think the last few, I didn't even watch. Did I watch the final last year? Maybe I did. One of the years I didn't even watch.
I didn't watch it last year, but I watched the one the year before.
But it's just like it's always like Man City, Man United, like Chelsea, Liverpool. Like
it's been the Manchester derby 2 years in a row. Yeah. So hopefully one of them gets knocked out. So we don't have to have that.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. Anyone at home.
Yeah.
Anyone at home, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So
we're taking the FA Cup seriously for once. I can't believe it. We even played Emi Martinez last night.
Why not as well? Big game. Take it seriously in front of the cameras as well. Live on the BBC. May as well. Cool. So Magic of the Cup is still alive then, despite all my.
Can you say? I need you to put something in our chat saying, "Well, Villa won't win the Champions League this year. They're not going to do the double."
At least it's not as bad as when Morata signed for Chelsea. I tweeted. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I tweeted something like. Prediction: Chelsea to win the league and Morata to be to Chelsea what Torres was to Liverpool or something. Torres got Morata got to get 8 goals. Chelsea finished 5th or something.
Yeah.
Terrible. Anyway.
And they sold him.
Yeah. God, I don't know where he is. He'll be at Villa next year probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Let's quickly touch on some of the other Midlands teams.
Yes.
Coventry got battered by Ipswich, sadly.
They did, yeah.
4-1. Obviously, Frank Lampard.
Jaden Philogene with his first goal for Ipswich.
Yes, yeah. I don't know. Lampard. Not had a terrible start there, to be fair. I feel like this year's a bit of a transitional one for Carves, not really working out.
League-wise, they're starting to creep towards the playoffs, so you never know.
Yeah.
I think it was just very much a summary of what Frank Lampard is as a manager, which is his teams can be pretty exciting going forward, but they let a lot of goals in. Yeah. If you remember his Chelsea side, they let a lot of goals in.
It'd be interesting to see where he ends up with them next year. Yeah. I don't think they'll get playoffs or anything this year.
No.
I feel like it's just, I don't know, a little bit paying for a few really good years. This is one where they're just catching up a bit, really.
Yeah.
Wolves are through though. They beat Blackburn 2-0. I don't know if it's almost a hindrance to them because they got a big survival fight on, but maybe it's just the boost they need.
I think sometimes it can. Momentum is everything, and they've got a few wins on the board under the new manager. They're probably not going to go down.
No, I
know they're right down there, really, but.
I think it's between them and Ipswich probably now, and it's who takes the last spot, I think.
Yeah, unless Everton kind of fall down. But
yeah. Interesting thing after that Wolves game though. So John Eustace.
What is going on?
So apparently he found out after the game, it happened during the game. So Derby have made an approach for him. Derby have sacked Paul Warne.
Yeah.
And Eustace, they apparently want Eustace, and apparently they've agreed some sort of compensation figure or whatever, or a release clause effectively.
Yeah.
And a rumour has it Eustace is quite keen to talk to them. A little strange because Blackburn are 6th in the league. Obviously Eustace was Blues manager, going along brilliantly with Blackburn. Derby are, in a fight to stay up. The only thing I can think is Eustace is kind of from the Midlands. He used to play for Derby. It must be a more personal decision. Yeah. And fair enough if that's something that's a priority for him. Fair enough. But I just think he's probably going to get Blackburn in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
he could be, and the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. He could end up being a Premier League manager 100%. Next year.
I wonder if they'll agree something like end of the season or something, but you don't know. So it's a good 3 months still, isn't it? 4 months.
So John Percy from the Telegraph put something out yesterday about this, saying that Derby really want him, and they've got some grand plans for the future. So they might be selling him a dream.
Maybe they've done that to a few managers over the years. Derby, big club, but I feel like behind the scenes, not all is perfect, really. And then finally, so West Brom didn't play in the Cup because they were out, but they played Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. They won 2-1.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you
chaos
saw...
at full time. Carl Bartley's been sent off.
Yeah, well, Adam Armstrong scored on, I think, on his debut for him, 74 minutes. Then Sheffield Wednesday equalised on 93, I want to say. And then Baggy scored again on 96 to win it, which is mental. And then Carl Bartley celebrated by twatting someone in the face with his elbow and got sent off after full time. Really bizarre. You'd think he'd be an important player for them going forward. But it does mean Baggies are up to 5th, and despite their loss against Plymouth the other week, things are going very well under Mowbray.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we'll be seeing them in the playoffs as well this year. So that would be very interesting. So, yeah, that's the other Midlands teams.
That's the other teams.
Yeah.
So then next week, you've got no midweek game?
We have.
Oh, you do?
Although we're probably going to release this on Tuesday, so the game it may have happened by the time people are listening.
Yeah.
We've got Cambridge at home. Talk about
A come down.
back to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to reality with that one. Gary Monk's Cambridge as well. Rock bottom of the league. I would certainly not be complacent about it. I genuinely would make a couple of changes though, just because some of our players look knackered. Cochrane in particular looks absolutely knackered. But we should win pretty comfortably. I'm sure Chris Davis will keep it drilled into them. It's all about like keep your perfectionism sort of. The strange thing with Cambridge though, so obviously Gary Monk's there now, and I could be wrong. I think it's the first time he's come back to Blues. Oh no, it's not actually, because he came back against Pep Clotet once, didn't he? So no, ignore that. But it's Gary Gardner plays for him now.
Does he?
That's why you're reacting that way, because he signed for him in the summer. He's not made a single appearance for him yet. I don't know if I don't want to accuse Gary Monk of anything. It's just a little bit like, is he? I don't know. Has he just got his mate a contract there?
Is this Coutinho and Gerrard again?
Possibly, certainly similar levels for sure. Yeah, a bit strange. Kind of weird. Gary Monk's legacy of Blues might be a good one to do an episode on, because he was very popular when he was at Blues, but he's kind of faded away a lot. But no, it'd be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. So I'm pretty confident we'll win. But then we've got Charlton at the weekend, who are just outside the playoffs. So yeah, that'd be interesting. You playing this weekend?
Yes, we got Ipswich. So Saturday 3:00.
Yeah.
Might grab a ticket.
Yeah.
Not sure yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ipswich in the relegation battle. We obviously drew the reverse fixture, so things in the cups are going well. We could do with some momentum and some form in the league, so
yeah,
we should win. But I can probably see Jaden Philogene scoring at the whole end.
Do you think Rashford or Asensio will start?
Hard to say. Hard to say. I mean,
maybe don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it as well. Keep the same setup.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Maybe one of them will start. He might not throw both of them in.
Yeah.
We'll see. Can they do it on a cold Saturday night against Ipswich? You know.
So and it is cold at the minute as well.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Cal, that just about wraps us up for this week.
It does
I think.
indeed.
So yeah, it's been lovely being here in person and getting one of these in on the Monday morning. Been an absolute pleasure. I will say, if you enjoyed this episode and any of our previous episodes, thank you so much. We've had a bit of an uptick recently in listeners and response and so on since we did our Lee Clark interview, which has gained us a bit of extra traction. If you do want to check that interview out, Blues fans, I think you absolutely love it. It's on our channel. It was about 3 episodes ago, I think. We talk about the Newcastle game, but we also talk in general just about Blues, Clark's time at Blues, the current Blues team. So it's really interesting, really nice guy. So please do go and check that out.
Yeah, it'll be in one of the cards anyway, or you can go back through the playlist and you can find it there. Yeah. Remember, whatever you're listening or watching us on, subscribe, like, don't miss an episode. 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Drop a comment. Always helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, we'll be back next week, I assume.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. And until then, keep right on and shit on the Villa.
See you next week and up the Villa.